The longer the Fields situation drags on where he hasn't been dealt, the more I would, say that I'm starting to cautiously think there's a chance.
And they're losing their leverage because everybody knows they have to trade him. They're not keeping him. The GM is on the record as saying it's not fair to the player we draft into Fields to have both of them on the roster at the same time. So the league knows they're taking somebody at 99.9% sure it's Caleb Williams, and they want to get Fields out of there as soon as possible, ASAP. But no one's making them a good offer. You got Atlanta that now reportedly wants to at least see what happens with Cousins. By the way, his wife is an Atlanta girl. He's from there.
He seems to fit what they would want to do more offensively.
Yeah. So then if they're waiting on him, free agency doesn't start for another 11 days. Vegas isn't going to happen because of the offensive coordinator there.
He's definitely not going
Minnesota's got to wait on Cousins too.
The intrigue here is interesting, but I feel like a dog being given commands by both owners that are completely different. I just feel like my head's snapping back and forth. And you know what I default back to? I try to find a North Star in all of this. It's what team are we covering in this town? The Pittsburgh Steelers. What do they typically, almost all the time, do in situations where they have a chance to do something interesting? Do the least interesting thing. What is the least interesting thing that they could do?
They go the conservative route and just
stay with Kenny Pickett, and not only that, not bring Mason Rudolph back and sign Ryan Tannehill, a non-threatening veteran who can mentor him. So you know what? September. March 4th, 2024, I will formally plant the flag of Chris Mueller predicts Kenny Pickett 1, QB 2, Ryan Tannehill, QB 3, drafted player from day 3.
Well, to your point there, it is interesting that Schefter didn't, in a 90-second answer, didn't mention Mason Rudolph's name one time. He talked about the other quarterbacks like Tannehill and guys that were out there and not him.
Well, that's the big wild card here is who is right about what the market is or isn't for Mason Rudolph. Because I've seen some people suggest that there really is no market and none's going to develop. Bill Barnwell, smart guy. I've seen other people suggest that they think Mason Rudolph's going to get paid enough by somebody else and be motivated enough internally in his own mind to do something else than play for the Steelers that he'll go somewhere. So who wins out on that battle?
So just before we get to some of our listeners on this, you said that's what you think is going to happen. Can you just give me one more time what you want to happen?
Trade for Justin Fields.
And you want the price to fall to the point where
give me a third-round pick.
They're giving up like a third-round pick for him.
Yes,
that's what you're hoping for.
I guess my ideal scenario is the price falls so far they give up a fourth for Justin Fields.
Right.
If I'm mixing ideal versus quasi-realistic, a third-round pick for Justin Fields. He's the starting quarterback. Kenny Pickett, you're the backup. Yeah,
I mean, Chris, it's crazy because we disagree on so much, but that's honestly like that's what I'm still like. I have a little candle that I'm keeping vigil at. Almost said Virgil. And I'm keeping
R.I.P.
that I'm like still watching, and it's that like it's okay. Field still isn't signed. I get a report every day that makes it seem like the market's pretty barren and pretty dry. Can it get to a point where we get interested and get involved?
That's the story here. Does it just keep petering along with no news on that front?
And I still have in the back of my mind what Dulac has said, what I've said, and what Schefter has gone on the record of saying too. We know that Tomlin is a big fan. And they can send Arthur Smith down to Florida, and Tomlin can say at the season-ending press conference that the starting quarterback is probably on their roster right now, and the owner has it in his mind that he'd like to see Pickett and Rudolph. But if the price just gets too good to pass up on Fields, will he do that?
Question. Do you think Art...
Just like he did with Flores.
Do you think for Art...
He knocks on the door.
Oh, my God. Well, the price has to get to a fourth.
Something I want you to talk to.
The price has to get outside the top 100 picks, I think.